November 5th, your worst nightmare tries to claw back to
Azurasian.
Springfield, Ohio. Look at Aurora. Look at her plant. Look at a poll. Look at what she's done. Look at that period of time. Look at what's happening. Look at the facts. Look at what's happening. Look at what's going on. Look at it.
We have lawsuits in 81 states right now.
So I made a decision to destroy the lives of so many people.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
They will accept the results of this year's presidential election on one condition.
Sure, if it's a free and fair election.
Yeah, sure, if it's a fair election.
Of course, if we have a free, fair, and safe election, we're going to follow the Constitution, absolutely.
But otherwise, we won't follow the Constitution. By the way, in 2020, leading up to January 6th, he was the driver of that stuff. He drove those lawsuits, and he was actually very responsible for the lead up to January 6th.
I want to talk about Trump's new genes therapy. It seems that he's all in. Let's go to the videotape.
To have its broadcast license revoked for their 60 Minutes interview with Vice President Harris.
Yeah, that sounds First Amendment-y.
Yeah.
Fascist.
They're a news organization. They have to be licensed to do it. They ought to take away their license.
Fascist.
Gets home, you know what he says? You've been a bad girl. You've been a bad little girl, and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now.
It's pretty gross, but it's fine because he doesn't have children, right?
Tucker has kids.
I think he has kids. Can they be taken away?
If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck and says that Duck Hitler had some good ideas, that's a fascist duck.
Kamala has imported an army of illegal alien gang members and migrant criminals from the dungeons of the third world to prey upon innocent American citizens. They're very, very, very sick with highly contagious disease, and they're let into our country to infect our country. These people are the most violent people on earth, and they're bringing drugs, and they're bringing crime, and they're rapists.
This is exactly how it all started. Back in 1932. But that's not what this video's about. I want to talk about Batista.
Fellas, we gotta talk. A lot of men seem to think that Donald Trump is some kind of tough guy. He's not.
Winning is tough. I always said winning is somewhat maybe innate. You know, you have the winning gene.
Fascist.
And the reality is, and the point that everybody I think is missing, is that Batista wants to talk about genes too.
There was no cheating. If God came down from a high and said, I am going to be your...
Snipers on the roof, metal detectors, and security at every entrance, drones surveilling overhead, and security cameras and floodlights to help law enforcement monitor this area.
I mean, look at him. He wears more makeup than Dolly Parton. He whines like a baby. The guy's afraid of birds.
Believe me, if it's good genes, we believe in genes, right? We're allowed to.
Now, a murderer, I believe this, it's in their genes. And we got a lot of bad genes in our country right now.
The idea that there's a murder gene is absurd.
Ashes.
What he's talking about is anybody that he disapproves of. You know.
Good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Donald Trump had his daddy pay a doctor to say his Will feet hurt so he could dodge the draft. Look at that gut. Like a garbage bag full of buttermilk.
I can't believe it's not butter.
Do we believe in the gene thing? I mean, I do, right? You know, I do.
Ashes.
As vice president, Kamala Harris is tasked with certifying the election.
We shouldn't have the vice president, Kamala Harris, have some sort of unilateral authority to reject the election.
Hail! My inhergoring says, is he not the Superman?
As we all know, Trump's a fine Aryan specimen. I mean, just look at that physique, my God. It's as if he was created in a lab to be the perfect human being.
Yahweh is the Superman.
He sells imaginary baseball cards pretending to be a cowboy fireman. Guy's barely strong enough to hold an umbrella. I mean, look how he drinks water. Like a little pink chickadee.
We have good stuff. We have great genes in this room. We have smart
Fascists.
people.
He's got jugs. Big ones. Like Dolly Parton.
Objects in mirror may be closer than they appear.
He cheats at golf. He creeps around beauty pageant dressing rooms.
You're getting a vigorous spanking because you've been a bad girl.
Save them.
In the genes, it's in the blood, right?
Yeah, that guy's a fag. And they're the first to tell you, God hates fags.
I'm gonna let him go wild on health. I'm gonna let him go wild on the food. I'm gonna let him go wild on medicines.
Yes. How much do you think we can rip out of this wasted $6.5 trillion Harris-Biden budget?
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
Yeah!
Yes.
$2 trillion.
Yeah, that necessarily involves some temporary hardship, but it will ensure long-term prosperity.
And so healthcare is one of the sectors, but we need this across the board. And Trump's going to go big. I mean, he's only going to have one more term, right? Can't run for re-election. Right. And so he's going to be thinking about legacy, and we're going to fix all these things. And,
no Obamacare.
No Obamacare.
Imagine if it was Star Wars, it'd be Jabba the Hutt.
You know that little dance he does? He looks like he's jacking off a pair of giraffes.
Click here now for the hottest on the web.
Moody, he pouts, he throws tantrums.
No, get those lights off!
Bloodlines? You want to talk about bloodlines? His father shows up in New York with his brand new German wife in 1946. Super rich already. Amazing. Not that we have any evidence or history of Germans with a lot of money in 1946.
He's a fascist. I feel like we just went over this.
Kelly certainly falls into the general definition of fascist for sure. He falls into the definition of
a populist political philosophy that exalts nation and often race above the individual, headed by a dictatorial leader.
So your phone is broke.
House Press Secretary Laura Loomer.
Trespassing Nancy Pelosi's private residence.
Give me some money to fund my lawsuits.
HHS Secretary Matt Gaetz.
The House Ethics Committee has released a statement into a number of serious allegations, including sexual misconduct.
Elon Musk for whatever he wants.
Go yourself.
No wonder Trump says.
You don't have to fix so good, you're not going to have to vote. Democrats decided to shield and shelter bloodlines, good bloodlines. If you believe in that stuff, you got good blood.
He acts like a 5-year-old behind the wheel of a truck. He bends over for Putin.
You're not fully clean until you're zestfully clean.
It's cattier on social media than a middle school mean girl.
Good genes you have, good genes.
Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
Funny because it's true.
Hell, their story is that he was wanted in Germany, even though he was able to go get a wife there, and he was wanted because he didn't serve in the previous war, which I find amazing considering the fact that he was able to go back and get a wife.
Fascist. Multiple occasions, Trump has said, quote, you know, Hitler did some good things too. I like what he did in that bunker at the end.
Yeah. Ah, the beautiful Alps build up the body so we can work harder for the Führer. Heil Hitler. 1, 2, 3, heil. 1, 2, 3, heil. 1, 2, 3, heil. 1, 2, 3, heil.
The guy needs help walking downhill. Almost there, Grandma. So this November, let's stop kidding ourselves.
No, I'm proud to have that German blood. There's no question about it. Great stuff.
Their story is that he frickin' dodged the draft and then, on the run for 20 years, somehow shows up rich in Queens in 1946.
Also, we have many Azerasians.
So people had to walk through the desert for 2 hours to get back to their car. Could there be a more perfect metaphor for what 4 more years of Donald Trump will be like?
Come again.
This isn't normal. Apparently the buses are no longer coming, or at least there used to be like 20 buses when we were
being brought here, but now there's only like 3 buses operating, and it's an absolute, it's just chaos, absolute chaos.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
People overheard Trump saying, quote, "I need the kind of generals that Hitler had."
I just really wish there was an old Nazi somewhere that says, I knew Hitler. Hitler was a friend of mine. Donald Trump, you are no Hitler.
Donald Trump is afraid of rain, of dogs, of windmills.
Nobody has ever seen anything like we're witnessing right now. It is a very sad thing for our country. It's poisoning the blood of our country.
Some general confirms that Trump said he loves Hitler, and everybody pretends like it's new information. He's a Nazi. Bloodlines? Are you serious?
And I could absolutely see him going out. You know what? It would be great to have German generals that actually do what we asked them to do, knowing that's a third, maybe not fully being cognizant of the third rail of German generals who were Nazis and whatever.
He didn't know the Nazis was bad. That's his defense.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
So just to be clear, maybe Trump's so stupid.
Being laughed at.
Get that.
You want to talk about bloodlines? Because the Nazis damn sure did. Yeah, he's a bitch.
Mostly, he's terrified that real red-blooded American men will find out that he's a weak, tubby toddler.
Mommy, take me home. Mommy, I want to go home.
How about allowing people to come through an open border, 13,000 of which were murderers? Many of them murdered far more than one person, and they're now happily living in the United States. You know,
he's a bitch and a Nazi.
What's wrong, tough guy? Did someone grab you by the Why, you bitch.
By guys who can still see the room.
What did General Kelly say? Well, I'm looking here at the definition of a fascist, and I have to say, I guess he is. You seriously had to go get a book? But okay, fine. The literal definition of a fascist, Donald Trump.
Bad genes in our country right now, talking about the immigrants who come over. He was calling them murderers.
The first reaction is that we have long known that Donald Trump has revered the Nazis. He has revered Hitler. He's read his book. He used to say he had it on his nightstand. Donald Trump has had a very sinister philosophy, wanting to be a dictator, absolutely dividing people up based on who they are, based on factors about them that have to do with their race and their gender, etc. And when he uses language like this, I don't think that it's a Freudian slip. I think that the danger of a Donald Trump is that he would absolutely try to exterminate an entire group of people because he thinks that their genes are somehow different than his and faulty. And I say this with all the sternness that you hear in my voice because it is serious, and Americans should recognize that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a little over torque, quite frankly.
You mean I get all these great funk classics on just one CD or cassette?
Oh, I'm sure the dictionary is now fake news, right? Words don't mean what they mean anymore. I guess most states like Texas would already have banned 1984, but if you get a chance to read 1984, you might find something about that in there.
But Impetus Americanus made a mistake. He is slow, he is lost. His imagined strengths are but weaknesses. And he's alone. His mate, his cubs, already eyeing new, greener lands. His pack is flimsy and overmatched. His lieutenants are weak and timid. The decades creak in his bones. The humiliations fester in every fold of soft, bloated skin. And as he rambles and wanders among the fields, no longer on the trail, he reeks of fear.
Donald Trump is a pussy-ass bitch. I'm not the first to say it. Clearly. Because he's a pussy-ass bitch.
A second term for Donald Trump. What will it look like?
Secretary of State Jared Kushner.
Jared Kushner and Ivanka Kushner walk out of the White House and months later get $2 billion from the Saudis.
Homeland Security Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
Justice Department Alina Habba.
This is where your taxpaying dollars are going, America.
FBI Director Jim Jordan.
That's as radical as you can get.
I mean, hit after hit after hit. Batista nailed it. Because Donald Trump is a piece of shit.
Cheap hustles, dirty little scams, crappy condos and resorts, fake universities, inedible steaks.
Trump steaks are by far the best tasting, most flavorful beef you've ever had.
Gas station vodka. Trump selling trash is nothing new. Now, it's even more sleazy. Crappy sneakers from China.
It's Donald Trump's latest money-making scheme.
That's the real deal.
Trump-branded Bibles.
Donald Trump announced a deal to endorse a $60 God Bless the USA Bible.
Bitcoin Ponzi schemes and NFTs.
His own crypto exchange platform.
He'll turn the White House into a pawn shop, selling garbage to rubes from the Oval Office.
Let's start with those MAGA hats. They come from China.
Trump and his family made billions off his presidency. He's back for more. He's a charlatan, a snake oil salesman, a fraud, and unfit for office.
And maybe he's right about the genes. Because his daddy had it too. It seems to run in this family. They're fucking Nazis. What the hell else do you need to know?
Something with the people who are already here, and I think that you take a sequential approach to it. You are going to have to deport some people. If you're not willing to deport a lot of people, you're not willing to have a border when there are 20 million illegal aliens in our country.
10 to 15 million people, this is like, I mean...
Well, John, I think that's the wrong attitude to take up. Okay, so there are
doors and ask people for their papers.
Again, but I think this is the wrong attitude towards it, right? There's 20 million people here illegally. You start with what's achievable, and then you go on to what's achievable from there. I think that if you deport a lot of violent criminals, and frankly, if you make it harder to hire illegal labor, which undercuts the wages of American workers, I think you go a lot of the way to solving the illegal immigration problem. But President Trump is absolutely right. You cannot have a border unless you're willing to deport some people. I think it's interesting that people focus on, well, how do you deport 18 million people? Let's start with 1 million. That's where Kamala Harris has failed, and then we can go from there.
Trump is a fucking Nazi. What else do you need to know? The reality is that everybody knew that. You want to talk about genes? For Trump, this is just gene therapy.
Democrats decided to shield and shelter criminals. In Venezuela, did you just see Maduro? Venezuela, we see this fear.
Meow, 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 meow.
And for his cowards, what Hillary Clinton wisely called a basket full of deplorables, this is red meat to the base, baby. Because they miss the good old days when you could burn a cross. You bet your ass they do. I'm Zachariah, Lone Star Liberal. Y'all take it easy.
He's afraid of the conflict, of what comes next. He starts to realize it is not his last hunt. Impetus Americanus is the hunted. He is the prey. The apex predator is approaching, preparing to devour him. It is Mother Nature's design that the circle of life eventually closes on all things. For Impetus Americanus,
You have no choice. You've got to vote for me. You've got to vote for me. But even if you don't like me, you can sit there, Zach.
Not believe women should have the agency and authority to make decisions about their own bodies. This is the same man who said women should be punished for their choices. He simply does not respect the freedom of women or the intelligence of women to know what's in their own best interest and make decisions accordingly. But we trust women.
It's cool when spoken by James Earl Jones.
Y'all take it easy.
About 4 weeks ago, I was saying, no, I want to protect the people. I want to protect the women of our country. They said, sir, I just think it's inappropriate for you to say, pay these guys a lot of money. Can you believe it? I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Don't negotiate, let's investigate. We'll accelerate as we're taking him down.
For shizzle.